Okay, we're at Parsha Shavua, the weekly Torah portion, Parshat Emor. It's on page 672. So, last week we were talking about Kedoshim, right? We were talking about Kedoshim, but really it's coming off of Kedoshim. Kedoshim taught us to be holy to Hashem. And we're going to continue that pattern. As he says right here, the laws of the Kohen, the previous Sedra, the previous Parsha, dealt with the commandment that the entire nation should strive to become holy with the broad range of activities that brings one to this exalted state. Now the Torah turns to the cohanim, whose divine service places upon them a particular responsibility to maintain higher standards of holy behavior and purity. Good. So now we continue. Vayomer Hashem el Moshe. Hashem said to Moshe, Emor el hakohanim. Say to the kohanim, Bnei Levi, the sons of Aharon, Ve'amarta aleim, and you should say to them, L'nefesh lo yitama ba'amav. To the soul, to a person, you should not, one should not make himself tameh among his people. That's number one. So we're talking about what is the opposite of kedusha, of being kadosh? Death, because death is the ultimate tum'ah. It's an avatuma. It is the top level of tumah. You can't get any higher than dealing with death, because your neshama is gone. So what I have left, all I have left is the tumah, the spiritual impurity. So the kohanim are commanded not, in general cases, not to defile their kedusha, or their not kedusha, their being tahor, to the tumah of death. So Rashi says on this, though, if you look at the verse, it says, Emor el ha-kohanim b'nei Levi, say to the kohanim, the children of Levi, v'amar telem, and you should say to them. Why do you have to say twice? Oh, well, if that would be true, emphasis would say, Amor tomar, right? So here's Emor, say, this command form, and then you will say to them. So Rashi says, Amor v'marta lahasya gedolim ala ketanim. But the reason it has to say it twice is so that to warn the adults on the children. In other words, you can't let the children become defiled either by death. So that's why young kohanim, even though they're not bar mitzvah, is only males, by the way, not females. Females do not have this mitzvah of remaining tahor to death. They don't have any of those mitzvot. They don't offer the korbanos. There's nothing there. So they're allowed to marry whomever they want. They can go to funerals, not a problem. But the male cannot. So but the Torah is saying, you may have thought, since he's not a bar mitzvah, that he could defile himself because and it would be no problem. So the answer is no. The Torah is warning the adult not to allow the child, the male child, to become tameh either. So then it says the children of Aaron. So Rashi says Yechol Chalalim. Maybe you would think that this also applies to a Chalal. Remember, a Chalal is a product. It's a profaned Kohen, and that's a product of the Kohen who marries either a divorcee, a Grusha, or a Zona, a woman who's turned aside from Judaism. In other words, she's not a person you want to marry, and or the Chalala herself, if she was a Chalala, if she was made, if she was a product of something, of the Kohen marrying the wrong girl. Okay, so you may have thought that it says Bnei Aaron, since it says the children of Aaron. Even a Chalal is a child of Aaron, right? It's coming from the lineage of Kahuna. So you may have thought that is also included there. Talmud Lomar, the Torah tells you no, it's only HaKohanim, the Kohanim. In other words, I have to be of proper lineage. My father has to marry the right girl, or one is no longer a Kohen. Okay. Then he says another thing. What else do you learn from Bnei Aaron, the sons of Aaron? Av ba'alei mumim b'mashma. Even, let's say the guy is a bal mum. He has some, whatever mum he's going to have, whatever blemish he's going to have. You may have thought that he wouldn't be included because he's not able to offer karbanos. And yet, no, it says Bnei Aaron, so they are included. One more thing, Bnei Aaron v'lo benot Aaron. There's not, and like I said, women, the daughters of Kohanim, are not included. It says Bnei, so not them. Lo yitamav ba'amav, and it says one should not defile himself in his nation. So ba'od shamei petoch amav, while the deceased is within the people. Yatsa mate mitzvah, with the exception of a mate mitzvah, a person who doesn't have anybody else to bury him. So there, the Kohen is commanded to bury him. Understand? So there's a time, normally we're not allowed to defile ourselves, but when it comes to a mate mitzvah, nobody else is there to take care of the person, then even the Kohen Gadol for that matter, will have to defile himself to death and deal with this person. That's kavod hamet. That really is the only exception to that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have it. Yeah.
So, defile himself to death. That means defile himself
to bury the guy. He's going to bury him.
To the impurities of death.
Yeah.
Is that something? He said defile him to death.
Right. He's going to what did you say? How did you put it? I liked how you put it. Defile himself to the impurities of death. Beautiful. Good. I said shorthand, you said longhand. I like it though. It's very good.
Shorthand sounds like he's dying.
Well, if he's dying, then he can't deal with. He can't bury himself.
Right. Well, I mean, okay. He's kind of old. Well, then he's fulfilled anyway.
There you go. Okay. So now, what are the exceptions to this? Again, we said the mate mitzvah is one exception. Here is the other exceptions for a regular Kohen, not a Kohen Gadol, just a regular Kohen. Ki im l'she'ero, karov elav, with the exception of these people he must defile himself to. In other words, he must bury them. Okay? He must. They're not made mitzvah. They're just people he must defile himself for. So the she'era karov elav, to his relative that is close to him. And who is that referring to? That, Rashi explains, is talking about his wife. So if the guy's wife dies, he must bury her. It's not a matter of, if I can get somebody else to do the job, I should let them. I wouldn't want to defile myself. No, you are commanded to defile yourself. And then the imo la'aviv, to his father and to his mother and to his father. Two more people. And then finally, v'livno chas v'shalom, to his v'livno v'liputo, to his son or his daughter, ula achiv, and to his brother. And yeah.
Is this saying they command the Kohen to bury the relative?
Correct.
Does that mean the Kohen is doing it all by himself?
No, I notice nobody's ever doing it themselves. You don't bury somebody yourself. What you do is you get everybody together. The point is that you have to take care of it, and you have to it's your mitzvah to bury them.
Oh, okay.
So, it's hard to dig a hole nobody does it themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. The point is that you have to go and do it.
Right.
You can't send somebody else in proxy.
Okay.
And it's not a matter of if I had a choice, I would. No, you have to. This is an obligation. Okay. It's the last show of love for them. Okay. So then it says, "V'la'achoto habatula karov elav," and his sister, the virgin sister who is close to him. What does that mean? Even if she was engaged, okay, and if she's engaged to this one, they have kedushin, but she's not yet nesu'in. She's not yet married. She hasn't gone through the whole ceremony. So in that year, chas v'shalom, she would die. He has to bury her. Ashalo hayite the ish, that she doesn't have a husband. Laitamat to her, for her he should become tameh. It is a mitzvah. So if a Kohen has a sister who is not yet married, so then she also falls into the category of people he must defile himself. If she is married, then he is not allowed to go. Not allowed to go. Yeah.
It's the husband's requirement to bury.
Say again?
Is it the husband's requirement?
The husband's required to bury, but again, he cannot defile himself unless there's nobody there. Again, that goes to the mitzvah. But in general cases, the father would be the one.
If his not married.
If the sister is not married, then he must bury.
Well, if she is married,
then he is no longer allowed to go to that funeral.
Then whose mitzvah is it to marry the sister?
A husband,
Right. Okay.
because that's part of the contract. Okay, so then it says, Lo yitama ba'al be'amav lehechalo. He should not defile himself, he should not become tameh in his nation, as he said, to husbands. Okay. One, I like how he says, a husband among his people should not contaminate himself to one who desecrates him. And who is this talking about? This is talking about he married the wrong girl. So we just said you could go to your wife, right? So the guy, the Kohen, married a Gerusha. He married a divorcee. He's not allowed to marry a divorcee. They had, and they even had kids, the Chalal, very nice. So now what happens is the wife dies. The Torah says you're not allowed to defile yourself, become tameh for her. She was forbidden to you. Or any one of the girls that would be forbidden to the Kohen. He's not allowed to bury her. It's not a matter of choice again. It's a matter of, this is what the halakha is. Rashi says, he should not defile himself to the woman, to his wife, who stopped him from being doing the service while she was still with him. So that's kind of a Kain Pashut. By the way, there's something else. When the Kohen is married to one of these girls, then he cannot perform the service anymore. He's no longer allowed to do the korban or to bless the people. This is something that's practical today, by the way. When a Kohen, depending on which shul you're in, if they're going to follow this, but according to strict halacha, that if on page 672, if the Kohen marries a woman he's not supposed to marry, then the congregation should stop him from duchening, from giving the priestly blessing. Wow. So he is still obligated.
Really?
Yes, he's still obligated because he is always a Kohen.
What about for Kohen Aliyah?
He's always a Kohen. So, so that's why, again, in some shuls, when this happens, you either don't give him an Aliyah, which is always a possibility, or you give him an Aliyah that is Roy the Kahuna. In other words, he would get, you could give him the Kohen, you can give him the Achron, or you could give him Maftir, you give him a Hagba. Again, if you're trying to skate around the issue and the shul is allowing for that, that's what you could do. But according to strict halacha, he should get no Aliyah. He should not be counted in a minyan. He should, because he's broken the law. Yeah.
So what do you do in the case of, and I think...
Again, I'm saying strict.
Strictly, yeah. So
actually, I don't know about the minyan. I'm going to take the minyan back. I'm not sure about the minyan. But certainly he should not be getting Aliyah. He should not be duchening. He shouldn't be doing anything.
So what do you do in the case in Bismanen, our time and our age here now? Bismanen, our time right now.
Yeah, Bismanen, yeah.
So a guy was non-religious, Kohen, he meets whoever, somebody he shouldn't marry.
Correct.
And he gets married.
Right.
And then the family becomes Baal Tshuva. What do you do with him in shul? What do you accord him? Because he never even knew. He may know it now, but he may not even.
Again, if you when you want, you could accord him whatever honor you want. That's up to the. In other words, some shuls will not give him any aliyah. If you're in a Baal Tshuva situation, so then you don't want to turn the guy off. So just as you give a person who's on Shomer Shabbos an aliyah, they also are not allowed to have an aliyah lehalacha. Let's understand this. So we break a lot of laws left and right, because when it comes to halacha, it's pretty clear. We can't give a person who is Machal Shabbos, who's breaking Shabbos publicly, and they're all driving, so that's public. We cannot give them an aliyah, and yet most shuls will, because they don't want to turn them off. And today we can go to conservative reform or just stay home, or reconstruction, start your own shul if you don't like what the shul is doing. So, we don't want that to happen. We really want to try to bring people in. When if they really became Balei Tshuva, so they would have a problem. He may have to divorce his wife.
I mean, I've met.
I mean, the answer is he would have to divorce his wife. How far you can push that, he has to come to that.
I knew a guy in the town I came from.
Right? Let's not say what it is, okay.
All right. It was a non-Orthodox shul.
Right?
His last name was Cohen.
Right?
And they didn't call him up for Kohen Leah. I don't remember how the conversation started. And I asked him, I said, how come you don't get to Kohen Leah? He says, I'm not a Kohen. I didn't push it beyond, because I didn't even have the knowledge to push it beyond that.
No, when it comes to names today, we don't know, because you have cats, you have this, you have that. Nobody's, you don't know. So even the person is a coin, is not a coin, either the father messed up or Ellis Island messed up. I mean, you don't know. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Could be anything. It could have,
That's
again.
a big one.
What?
Ellis Island, that's a big
Ellis Island messed up a lot of names, so we have a lot of Katzes running around who aren't Cohen or and everything else. Yeah.
There's like curiosity. Whenever anyone describes their family name and where it came from, it's always they messed it up at Ellis Island. Like
Correct.
It was Englishfied. They're trying English for
Anglicized.
Anglicized. Yeah. So is Ellis Island the only place where you can get into America back then? Because I'm pretty sure you could have gotten into the West Coast.
Again, I'm not sure, but Ellis Island is where a lot of people came through, so we don't hear the stories about the other places. But any place where they came in, they landed, and you would say, "What's your name?" And they would say, "What's your name?" And you would get, how do you spell that? What do you mean, how do you spell it? Okay, so, we're going to call you Jack. Okay, thank you, Jack.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a Chinese guy, what's his name? Kelly. Just some Kelly. Why Kelly? Because he was born in Kelly Air Base. His real name is whatever the Chinese name is, but his American name is Kelly.
He took that name.
It's on his birth certificate, because they said what name? Kelly Air Base. Kelly. So it's like, think about it. In for the Jewish people, for the Orthodox Jew out there, and back in the 50s, if they had their name Ruvain. Okay, so what happens is they have to write down an English name, because they thought, no, you need an English name for America. So Paul, Robert, whatever they want to name. Okay, so then what happens is, but they're always going by Ruvain. And now you go to college, what do you write down? You don't write down Ruvain. You write down my English, Robert.
Your legal name.
Legal name, Robert. Who cares? It means nothing to you. That changed, by the way, because, my wife has an English name, but on her degrees it's her Hebrew name.
Oh, well, that's not a legal document per se; it's an official document by the.
But all her things, her license, everything is by her Hebrew name.
Really?
Yeah, she doesn't go by an English name.
Interesting.
So look, we can go by whatever name we want, and the change came really when the blacks started to come in, and they never changed their names. Surely the Muslim never changed their name.
Oh, right.
They still have their names. So people said, if they can say Shaniqua or whatever else the names are going to be, so why should we be ashamed of our names?
Yeah.
The only thing you have to worry about is, can you actually say the name? So most people, you guys have easy names, but when it comes to the harder names, they can't say Sarah to save their lives. They say Sarah,
of course.
But they can't say Sarah. If you tell them Sarah, they'll get it first time, and then it goes back to Sarah. That's their default. But I'm just saying that's how it really works. Okay, so
the name with the chos on Yechezkel. How do you?
Right? How do you say Yechezkel? How do you spell Yechezkel with a chet? Okay, leave me alone.
Yeah.
But Yud Chet. Chaim. Okay.
Shame.
Right. So what I was saying. So we're going to this. Oh, but so how are we getting to this?
Talking about names. I just couldn't know
Ellis. Oh, that's how we're going to.
Yeah.
All right. So like I said, so when it comes to all these things, it could be somebody who defiled the line. I don't know, but it could also just be that they messed up the name.
Convert, whatever, right?
What?
Divorcee or
Convert, divorcee, or a zona, or a halala herself. Any one of those four, they can mess up. And again, it's our obligation as a congregation, though, that we have a thing to make them holy. So we're not allowed legally to allow them to do what they should be doing. Again, if the Kohen marries these girls, he's still a Kohen. He can't go to the funerals, he can't do nothing. So but we aren't allowed, again, to according to halacha, to let them duchen or anything else. So what happens is what happens. Again, you go to the shul, people feel bad about it, so they'll call him. What they cannot do, and this happened in my first shul, is they called the Kohen for the fifth aliyah. He was a Kohen. And they called him for the fifth aliyah, and they said, ha-Kohen, fifth aliyah. And I said, what are you doing? It's a Kohen. So they said, yeah, but he married a convert. I said, I don't care what he married.
Where was it? Where were you? Were you or someplace where you were?
The first pulpit I had.
Okay.
First pulpit. I'll leave it like that because people are watching all around, and I really don't want to identify. But I said, you can't do that. If it's a Kohen, it's a Kohen. You want to give him an aliyah, that's up to you. But you either give him the first, the acharon, or maftir, or like I said, hagba. That I don't care. But you can't call, and I told him, stand to a side, I'm going to make an acharon, or whatever. So he was very happy. He did. Wow. Because he thought, I have to do this. It's an Orthodox shul, blah, blah, blah. No, I said, you have to follow halacha. It's not a matter you can just do what you want. He's still a Kohen. His kid is not. Right. I'm not arguing kid. Right. Kid is Yisrael. But, and again, if they would become Bali Shuva, would they get divorced? I'm not sure you could. I mean, really, yes, they should. But, I mean, that's not my call. That's up to them. But he never went up to Duchen.
That's what I think I saw back in those days. I mentioned the guy named Kohen. I must have been on a yontif, and he didn't go up to Duchen. And I knew his name was Kohen. I asked him why. Right. I said, I'm not a Kohen. Right, but that's what he said. I'm not a Kohen. Right, so it could have been. It could have been he wasn't a Kohen. But I'm just saying that this person ever did. It's only in certain places that people who were married to the wrong women went up to Duchen. Again, but that was with the permission of the congregation. It was the congregation's call, and again, they should have said no, but because they didn't want the person to go the other way, to leave the shul, so they said yes. The obligation, if he really is a Kohen, the obligation
is his.
He could have.
He has to. He has to.
Unless the congregation stops him.
Right. So that's why some people here will walk out when it's duchening. They won't walk. They won't. If they're not here, they're not over. They haven't transgressed anything. Right. So you had some kohanim who again were married to the wrong girls, and at the time when they came to this element of the place, this was in Moncton. Whenever they would come to shul for the holidays, came to Birk Kohanim, they walked out. They did, even though again they weren't supposed to go up in Duchen anyway, but because they were married to the wrong girls. But they didn't want to be over. They didn't want to even get involved in it. Their father told them, "You need to leave." Your father told them. He used to Duchen. Told them, "You have to leave. You're not allowed to Duchen." So, but you can't stay in here either. Get out. And they did. The father was buried long before I came there. But they would always walk out. And to their credit. So the congregation never had to worry about them. And I was the only Kohen in Moncton who was davening. I don't think we ever had another, in my time, I don't think there was ever another Kohen who went up with me. For one reason or another. Okay. Again, most other places they did. So, but that's like I said, it's on the congregation. So now we're dealing with the death. So you shouldn't defile yourself for that woman who you shouldn't have married anyway. You're not allowed to defile yourself. Furthermore, it says you cannot make cuts. You can't make yourself bald. Your head bald. Why would people make themselves bald? Pulling the hair out from grief. That would be what the goyim would do. They would pull their hair out from grief.
Morning, in other words.
In the morning, yeah.
No, for mourning for somebody.
For mourning, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, not the-
People used to pull their hair out.
I'm saying that's not like the monk thing. Is that a different
What?
monks?
I'm talking about monks. I'm talking about
They're serving their gods. They shave their head.
No, they did out of grief.
In other words, they wanted to actually create some physical pain to go
Right,
with
I
the
guess this is
emotional
what
pain, I
Michigan
guess,
is.
yeah.
The Michigan is, I guess, but
Oh,
that
well, they
seems
wanted
to be
to-
what they were doing, right?
Oh, well, there was, I forget who was the guy named Dan Brown that wrote the book about, that first book with the church thing, you know.
Okay.
Where there was a small sect of the Catholic Church, and they denied this for a long time. I don't know what their state. I don't remember what it's calling for, but they would some of these people would be involved in self-flagellation to
Okay.
try, for their sins. You know, they take a thing and whip themselves and
Right.
slash themselves.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, it's the same sort of things. But this is when somebody's dying, so somebody died. So you should make a bald spot in your head for atekanam le'galechu, and you shouldn't, the corners of their beards, they should not cut. Uviv saram, which sarated again in their skin, in their flesh, they shouldn't cut themselves. People did a lot of crazy things out of grief or wanting to show their grief. I wonder if it became a competition between I showed more grief than you, sort of thing.
No, I think people still do. I think the Muslims still cut themselves.
No, not Muslims.
I don't know.
I think it's the Muslim thing. It's
Like one of those religions.
I don't know. Okay, let's go on. I don't know.
there is something out there that does.
Okay, I'm sure there is. So look, so it says, Rashi says, look, karcha al mate. Again, you shouldn't cut yourself on you shouldn't make yourself bald for a dead person. So Rashi says, wait a second. Every Jew is also warned against this. In other words, it's not just cohanim who can't do this. Every Jew can't do this. Emor Yisrael. But since it says about in Israel, between their eyes, so you would have thought maybe they're not chayav, they're not obligated on the rest of that. No, it tells you bir rosham, on their head. So anywhere they're going to do it, not just between their eyes, they'd be chayav. They would be obligated if they would do such an action. Then it says bir rosham v'yilmadu Yisrael mekohanim gzeir shavam, and the Jews, the regular Jew, learned it from the kohanim. It says Ne'emar Khan Karchav Israel. It says over here, make yourself bald over there. It says about Jew, the Israeli, just a regular Jew, bald. Makan kol rosh af lahal and kol rosh mashma. So therefore, just as over here, it means a whole head. Over there, it also means a whole head. Kol makom sheyikarech barosh. So any place where they make themselves bald, u'mal lahal and almate, and just over there is on a dead person they're doing from grief. Afkan almate also here it's because of death. So they're going both ways. Then it says, according to the beard, you shall not shave. Again, Lefish and Emor Yisrael lo tashchit. Since it said about a Jew, regular Jew, you shouldn't cut the stuff off. Maybe you would think maybe you could grab it and cut it with a scythe or something. I don't know what you call that, but not a razor. It's not. That's the point. You're not using a razor. So maybe you're just like a good, nice, some sort of where you're grabbing it and going like this. Wait. So you may have thought that l'chach ne'emar. That's why it says like you shouldn't shave it. She'enu chayav al kol ela al devara kroi galuach. And that way you know that you're only obligated because if it's called shaving, v'yesh bo shchata, and it's totally removing the hair of his head, that would be a shaver. By the way, this is also going to be where you get the leniency later on for electric shavers. For those who hold by electric shavers, the scissor action. Yeah.
So it says you can't shave, but you can't shave your face, you can't shave your head.
It says you can't right. You can't make yourself bald. It doesn't say shave.
Right. So what about the stars?
The what?
The stars. The
stars.
No. Saras.
Saras. That's a commandment. You have to do it. So in order for the commandment, then you have to. That's a different thing.
Is it when you completely covered? You shave your eyebrows, your hair, beard, and everything.
No, when you think you have it.
Oh.
In other words, when you think you have to shave your head around and leave here on the head, but otherwise you're shaving at that point, and you're with just a little hair. If you go back to that, then you'll see it. If you're talking about, when they're purified, right, then you have to shave it all the places. Right. But again, that's the commandment that you have. But here, for every commandment, there's always another side to that. If I have a command, I have to command. But here, you're doing it out of grief.
Wasn't there a period of time where some Orthodox Jews were using, I guess maybe before the electric shaver,
dilapidatory
or wax and
right, because that's not shaving.
Wax would be pulling out.
Yeah, but that's not shaving.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what they used to use. He says this right here.
Oh.
I just saw it. Where did I see it? If you go it says this is a clarification of the prohibition stated. The prohibition against removing the beard only applies to shaving with a sharp blade. However, facial hair may be removed with scissors or with a scissor-like shaver or depilatory.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you have that. Again, that's where you get the heter from. For those who hold by the heter, that's where it comes from.
Only a heter is.
Well, it's the whole question.
Not,
everybody agrees. Everybody agrees with with
a razor blade. You can't.
No,
scrape it,
I'm
right?
saying everybody agrees on the scissor.
That you can use.
Yeah, but what happens is the Norelco shavers or whatever shaver we're going to use out there gets very close. So it looks like you don't have a beard. And if you look at most of my videos, when if it's not the 3 times we have to shave, for the most part I'm clean shaven. And so, but it gets very close. It can be it's not as good as a straight edge. Those really get everything. But the electric grills, they leave some stubble, but it's, but people are against it. There's still people that are against it. They say you shouldn't use it, and so on and so forth. That's what I'm saying. So it's clearly a heter.
Are they against it halachically or just really?
No, they're against it halachically. Rav Moshe, I believe, was against it halachically.
I thought Rav Moshe was the one who gave the heter.
No, I don't believe.
I heard the story about it. He went to whatever I can't remember what the first brand was. That he actually went to the manufacturing plant and talked to the engineers. They showed him exactly how. I read the story somewhere.
So again, what he said was, it can't get a close shave. So maybe in the 1950s, when he was making this, or whatever it was, 60s.
Razors, electric shave. I think even in the 1930s, I think they had real early versions of it.
Yeah, but I'm saying he wouldn't have been here in the 30s, I'm saying in the 50s.
When they started becoming really popular.
Right, so I think that they weren't as good as they are today. Okay. I think the ones that, according to, if you look in the Pesach book, or if you go online about kosher, if you go into kosher shavers, I think the Star K has a whole article on this. Yeah, where they say that I'm pretty sure they said Rav Moshe was against it.
Don't look at that.
So, but yeah, go to Star K. It's right there. Like I said, put in kosher shavers, and they have a whole tshuva that I don't know. Maybe they won't hold by. No, it's actually pretty machmer, so I'm guessing they'll never take it off their side. It's But like I said, the whole story is coming from here. So you're seeing it from. And then it continues. Kadoshim yu le'Elokehem. They should be holy to their God, v'lo yichalu Hashem Eloheim, and they should not profane the name of their God. Kiat ishei Hashem lechem Elokehem, because the fires of Hashem, the fire offerings of Hashem, the food of their God, Haim makrivim, they bring to the Mishkan, Vayu Kodesh, and so they must remain holy. So Rashi explains, Kedoshim to you, Al Korcham. This is what I was saying to you before. Al Korcham, by force, Yakdishum. You should, Yakdishum Beitin Bechach. The Beitin is obligated, the community becomes obligated to ensure that they follow the rules. Because, and this is a big thing, because they are offering the fire offerings of Hashem, they are bringing the bread offerings. Therefore, you can't allow them to profane themselves. Understand? So this is really Big Brother is watching you. Okay, but nonetheless, that's what happens. Now we get into the people we can't marry. Again, Isha Zona. I'm sorry, a Kohen can't marry. Isha Zona b'chalala lo yikachu. A woman who was a Zona. And a Zona, Rashi explains, is a woman. Sheniv Allah be'ilat Yisrael ha'asur lash. When she had relations with a Jew that was forbidden to her. Could go, for example, chayavi kritut. For those, she would get cut off from the Jewish people. O natin, or tuei natin, the water carriers. O a mamzer, or the mamzer. If she has relations with the mamzer, she got married to the mamzer, whatever the kid. And this is, by the way, by rape or by choice. Let's understand that. Okay? If once she has relations, we're not blaming her for the rape. We're saying that it already defiled her for it. We can't. It's just something you can't. It's just one of those things we have to deal with. But or certainly if she wants, it has choice. Then it says halala. What's a halala? This is Rashi explains. Shenodam in Pesulin Shepgehuna. This is a woman who was born, like I said, from the people who were not permitted to be with the Kohen to begin with. Could go and, for example, Bat Almana Mi Kohen Gadol, the daughter, a widow from the daughter of the widow of the Kohen Gadol. Kohen Gadol married a widow. It's forbidden marriage. They have a daughter. That daughter is a halala. Or Bat Gerusha. Kohen Hediod, or a regular, or chalutza, a Kohen Gadol, a regular Kohen marries either a divorcee, or somebody who had to go through Yibum. Actually, chalutza. She went through. The husband didn't want her. The brother-in-law didn't want her. Gave a chalitza. That is a semi-divorce, even though the Torah is not requiring that. This is rabbinic. But the power of the rabbis here is that even if she was a chalutza, the Kohen cannot marry her. So the Kohen can't say, wait a second, the Torah didn't say I can marry this girl. The rabbis said no, the rabbis have power, and therefore you must give in. Otherwise your children will be halalim. Okay? And also, again, if she would become profaned from the kahuna through having relations with one of the people who are usher to the Kohen. Okay, so that is all those definitions. So it says, let me finish the pasuk here. It says, Isha zona v'chalala. Again, they shall not take a woman who is a zona or a chalala, v'isha v'grusha meisha, or a woman who is divorced from her husband, lo yikachu. They cannot take her either. Ki kadoshu le'elokav, because he is holy to Hashem. So again, we're supposed to make that sure that happens. V'kidashto, and you shall sanctify him. Again, al korcho, by force. She'im lo ratzali garesh. If he doesn't want to divorce this woman that he's married to, halkehu v'asirehu, hit him, smite him, whip him, torture him until he divorces her. Can you imagine? That's the baitin. This is, if he's doing this, we have an obligation to get this guy away from that girl. Okay? Again, why? Ki et lechem lokechu hu makriv. Because the bread of your God, he is bringing close. Kadosh yeh lach. He will be holy to you. He shall remain holy to you. Ki kadosh, because ki kadosh ani Hashem mikadishchem. Because I, Hashem, am holy, and I am the one who is sanctifying you. So it's holy am I, Hashem, who sanctifies you. So Rashi explains, Kadosh Yalach, he should be holy to you. Nahug bo kedusha, you should conduct him with holiness. What does that mean? Liftoach arishon b'chol davar, that you have to let him start with everything. In other words, if you have a Kohen at the table, who gets food first? The Kohen. Who do you ask to bench first? The Kohen. Who gets the first aliyah? The Kohen. They're all for different reasons, but nonetheless, this is part of, according to Rashi, kadosh yeh lach. B'chol davar v'davar l'varech rishona b'suda. Again, he gets first rights to this. What we're going to, by the way, what would happen halachically again is if you have a Talmud Chacham and you have a Kohen Gadol who is not a Talmud Chacham, you would give it to the Kohen, you would give it to the Talmud Chacham. There's no question about that. When it comes to an Aliyah, that was just to stop fights in the shul. So the Kohen gets it, then the Levi, then the Israel, because the Kohen originally, when the Aliyah was given, it was only the first person would say a bracha. And only the last person. The first person would say Asher Bachabanu. The last one would say Asher Natan Lanu. And so, did I reverse that? No, that's right. And only the last person would say it. People in the middle would just read the Torah. So the kavod was to say the bracha on either side. So the Kohen would be given the first because you didn't want the fights. But that's also why when we see the women in the Gemara, when it says that women could have an aliyah, only it wasn't kavod Torah, it was not talking about saying a bracha. It was talking about laning from the Torah, because they weren't yet saying brachot. So people misunderstand that, and they make a whole mistaken argument which doesn't exist. And of course, and they want to because they want to be ignorant about it. If they would just look at the Gemara and think about the times, then they would understand that their fallacious argument of a woman could have an aliyah, blah, 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 make brachas, is false. That's all. So, I like throwing that. When it's 41 minutes, I can throw these statements in, because if anybody's really watching at 41, I'm all set. Okay. Let's finish this off, though. Ubat ish kohen, and the daughter of a kohen, ki techel liznot, when she begins to turn aside, again, she commits through adultery, it says, at avia he mechalelet, her father she has defiled, ba'esh tisareh, she shall be burned with fire, which means that they pour molten lead down her throat. Okay, and it's not a fun time. Rashi explains, ki techel is no, when she begins to have prostitute herself out. She's done this via sexual relations. Shaita Badzeka Baal Vizanta Omen Arusim, and assuming either she was engaged or married, and she had relations. Everybody agrees that it's certainly either she's engaged, Erison, or married, but certainly she is not a single girl. If she's a single girl, she doesn't get this punishment. She has defiled her father, she has defiled him and denigrated his honor, because he'll say, Aror Shazu, cursed is this one that bore this person, and this person grew up. So that's the negative part, and that's where we'll stop.
Sure.